it's Miss Rogers. Today we're going to look at place value. So we're going to do a review with place value. So we're going to talk about what place value is and how we determine what value a number has in the numbers that we have. So place value is just a way of saying that a number has a value or it's represented by a value in a number depending on where it's placed. So in a second, on my board, I have a number. So in a minute, we're going to look at each place value and what that means. So if you all look on my board right here, I have the number 245,678. So let's look at what each of these numbers have as a value. So if you look right here, when we work on place value, when we talk about place value, we talk about like tens, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, and so on. And in fourth grade, we deal a lot with the thousands. So we do a lot with thousands, 10,000s, and especially 100,000s. Because the more you go up in your school, so like the greater the grade you're in, the more numbers you're going to have. So in fourth grade, we do a lot with 100,000s. So let's look at our number and see what each of these values represent. So when you start with a number, you always start over here on the right-hand side, and that will always be your ones. Now, when you get to decimals, your ones will be right here, but when you deal with decimals, you'll have a decimal point right here with more numbers. We're not dealing with decimals, we're doing a whole number, all right? So then what comes after ones is tens. So 1, tens, then hundreds, then thousands, then 10,000s, and then 100,000s. And that's where we deal a lot with our numbers in fourth grade. Now, you're probably wondering, if you don't know already, why does each value have a different name? Well, in our math class, we deal a lot with base 10. So we deal a lot with like the base 10 numbers. And each of these place values have a certain value that they're represented using our base 10s. So if we start over here at ones and we go to tens, what that's doing, you're gaining one. So in our base 10, our ones, so I'm going to put ones right here, our ones is represented by one little cube. Okay? Then our tens is represented by the little block that have like 10 of them. So there's my tens block. It's like the 10 little groups of 10. Then my hundreds is the square that's cut up into 10 groups. And then it's cut up into 10 groups this way too. It's kind of a bad drawing, but you get the idea. It's kind of cut into the 10 groups of 10, okay? So my ones is just represented by 1. My tens is 10 groups of 1. My hundreds is 10 groups of 10s, which make that. And then my thousands are the 10 groups of hundreds. So that's like the little cube, okay? So we're going to look at this as another way. Instead of like the little block, 10 blocks, we're going to look at this. So when we start with ones and we go to tens, we're gaining a group of 10. So it's just being multiplied by 10, right? Tens is 10 times greater than the ones place value. Then when we go to tens to hundreds, if you notice, that's getting bigger by 10 too. So hundreds is 10 times bigger than the tens. Then if I go over to thousands, this place value is getting greater by 10. So thousands is 10 times greater than hundreds. Same thing when I go over here to 10,000s. It's getting bigger by 10. 10,000s is 10 times greater than thousands. Then when I do one more jump and go over here to 100,000s, again, it's getting bigger by 10. So 100 thousandths is 10 times greater than 10 thousandths. So each place value you move forward, when you go right to left, you're getting bigger by 10. So the ones to tens, 10 times greater. Tens to hundreds, 10 times greater. Hundreds to thousands, 10 times greater. Thousands to 10 thousandths, 10 times greater. 10 thousandths to 100 thousandths, 10 times greater. So each place value you move to the left, you're getting bigger by 10. Now, when you do decimals, when you move to the right, you're being divided by 10. You're losing a group of 10. Okay? But like I said, we're not focusing on place or the decimals. So, we're going to look at a couple numbers up here, and we're going to decide which number is bigger. So, when you're given two numbers and you're told that you need to compare them to figure out which number is greater and which number is less, you need to look at the place value. So you need to look at the numbers in each place value and decide which number has the greatest place value numbers. So if I give you the numbers 13,781 and 14,613, you should notice the big difference is in your 10 thousandths, like your thousands. It's really your thousands place value, okay? So if you look right here, I have 13,000 and 14,000, okay? I know, and you should know too, that 13 is smaller than 14. 14 is bigger. So my problem is going to be less than, because 13,000 is less than 14,000. You can look at the rest of these numbers, but in this case, you really don't need to, because you know the biggest difference comes when in your thousands, because 13,000 is less than 14,000. All right, so let's look at another example where you kind of have to do a little more math. All right, so if I give you the numbers 5,215 and 3,000 plus 2,000 plus 158, you're going to look at this problem and be like, how am I supposed to solve this problem? Well, you're going to have to solve this problem by adding up all these numbers to know what you're going to compare to 5,215. So I know that number is going to stay the same, so I'm just going to bring it down. It's not changing. So 5,000, oh, hang on, I messed that number up. So 5,215. And I'm going to compare that to this number when I add them. So let's add our numbers. We know when we add, we start in our ones. So let's look at our ones columns. I'm going to put this up here. This might help you. So this right here is my ones, tens, hundreds, and then thousands. Okay, I just put the place value over each number. And when we add, we start in the ones. So 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 8 is 8. So a number plus 0 is always itself. 0 plus 0 in my tens is 0. 0 plus 5, again. When you do a number plus 0, it's always the number. If I look at my hundreds, 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. Now, if I look at my thousands, 3 plus 2 is 5. So if you notice with this number looks similar. Okay, so they have some place values that are the same. So if you notice, both of these numbers are in 5,000. So we can't really pay attention to the thousands. We need to move into the next place value to know which one is bigger. So if you look in our hundreds, we have a 2 right here and a 1 right here. We can stop right there because I know 2 is greater than 1, so I know this 5,215 is going to be greater than 5,158 because 2 is greater than 1. So my problem, the answer is going to look like that. 5,215 is greater than 5,158. Okay, and this sign just shows that it's greater than. Okay, so I'm going to give you another problem to look at. So, another way we do place value is looking at the expanded form and like the word form. Okay, this is two ways for you to know about place value. So if we look at our expanded form, that's what we're going to look at first. We're going to look at expanded and the word form. I'm going to give our number first. 164,325. So we're going to look at expanded form and word form. Okay? So, if I look at my number, 164,325, when I look at my expanded form just means that you're stretching out the number. You're showing all the ones, all the tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, hundreds, thousands, all by itself. So you're breaking each place value apart. So if I look right here, I know that my 5 is in my ones, right? So I'm just going to put them out to the side. My 5 is my ones. Okay? When I have a 5 in my ones place value, that just means it's itself. So it's just equal to 5. Okay? So I'm going to put in parentheses 5. Okay? If I look at my 2 is in my tens. If I have 2 in my tens, that is saying 2 times 10, which is equal to 20. Okay? Then if I look at my 3 is in my hundreds, which is just saying that it's 3 times 100 because that's the place value that you're in, which is just 300. My 4 is in my thousands, which is just saying 4 times 1,000 because we talked about how when you go up a place value, you are gaining it by 10. Okay, which 4 in the thousands is 4,000. Then I have my 6 and my 10,000s, which is just 6 times 10,000, which is 60,000. Then you have your 1 that is in your hundreds thousand. And that is just saying 1 times 100,000, which is equivalent to 100,000. Okay? So my expanded form, I'm going to erase that right there, would be when I take each of these numbers that I put in parentheses, and I'm going to add them together. That is what expanded form is. You're taking each place value and you're adding it to all the place values that is in your numbers. So I'm going to start with my 1. So my place value for my hundreds thousands was 100,000 plus my next place value, which was my 6, so plus 60,000 plus my 4 place value, which was 4,000 plus my 3, which was in my hundreds, plus 300, then plus my 2 and my tens, which was 20, and then my 5 as last, which is ones, which was just equal to 5. And that expanded form is what's equal to 164,325. So all I did was I took each number in these place values and I represented what it actually meant. So my ones is just my ones, so that was just equal to 5. My 2s is in my tens place, which was 2 times 10, which was 20. Then my 3 in my hundreds place was just taking 3 and multiplying it by 100 because that's what place value it is in, which is equal to 300. Then my 4, I just took 4 and multiplied it by thousands since it's in the thousands place value, which equals to 4,000. Then my 6 and my 10,000s, I just took 6 and multiplied it by 10,000 because that's what place value it is, and that's equal to 60,000. Then my 1 was in my 100,000s place value, and I just took 1 and multiplied it by 100,000 because that's the place value it's in. So now that we got the expanded form, I shouldn't have erased that number, so I'm going to have to write it again. Now, when you look at place value, you need to be able to know how you do the word form. So you're taking this number and you're putting it in word form. You're writing it out the long way. Because it's easy to take a number and just write out what the number is and like the number value, but you need to be able to know how to spell out the number. So if I look right here, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to look at my 1 right here. So that's in 1, that is in the hundreds, thousands, but the way we say that is 164,000. So I'm going to put 164,000 or thousands. Okay, all I did was I took this right here, so 164, and it's in the thousands place value, so 164,000. Now I'm going to look at this right here. The way you say that is 325. Okay, so I took my number 164,325 and I put it in my word form to equal 164,325. Okay, so that is all I did. I hope this video helped you with place value, knowing what place value is and how we can figure out what each number is represented by based on its place value that it's in. Thank you all. I hope you all have a good day. See you later.